The Israeli cabinet is preparing to discuss a new proposal to occupy Gaza. Sources tell ABC News Prime Minister Netanyahu is proposing Israeli troops fully occupy the Gaza Strip. Retired Lieutenant General Douglas Lute is joining us to discuss that. General Lute, thanks for coming on. Just this past weekend, a far-right Israeli minister called for Gaza to be conquered. But you say more military action won't resolve Israel's key problems in this war. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I think there are really three issues that the Netanyahu government, his war cabinet, will be discussing over the next day or so. First of all, first and foremost for them is the situation with the hostages. There's some 20 hostages still in Hamas control, and obviously its principal objective here is to bring those hostages back safely and reunite them with their families. The second is the humanitarian situation, which is growing increasingly dire. I mean, we've seen the international outroar about the near famine-like conditions among Gazan civilians. And then finally, the ultimate question, who controls Gaza politically when the war comes to an end? And I don't think any one of these three questions is improved, that we actually move closer to success by way of increased military action.
So what do you think a full occupation would mean for the remaining Israeli hostages?
Well, it could further endanger them. It's believed that the 20 remaining hostages are largely in areas not yet controlled by the Israeli military. That's sort of 25% of Gaza that remains uncontrolled by the Israeli military. And if the military were to move into that area, it's entirely possible that the Hamas leaders would decide to eliminate the hostages and kill them. So it's a very dangerous situation for those 20 remaining hostages.
Now, in the past week, international aid groups renewed efforts to get more food into Gaza. How would that work if Israel does go through with an occupation?
Well, if Israel occupies Gaza in this sort of the legal framework that's internationally recognized, it owns Gaza. Now, that means Israel alone would be responsible for the well-being of the Gazan citizens, and Israel alone would be responsible for this terrible humanitarian situation which has evolved. So Israel will own the whole thing if it occupies Gaza.
Now, a Gallup poll released at the end of July shows U.S. public support for Israel's military action in Gaza dropped to a new low of 32%. France, the UK, and others are also discussing supporting a Palestinian state come the fall. So should Netanyahu be concerned about declining international support?
I think he is concerned about it, and that's one reason he's considering these military moves. Look, the military moves and the decisions underway inside the Netanyahu government are playing out in the context of talks between Gaza, Israel, as brokered by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. Those talks have broken down. So to some extent, Netanyahu is back against the wall in terms of trying to resolve this lingering now almost 2-year conflict in Gaza.
All right, General Doug Lute, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.